cabin. It's covered over with those boards and
You hear him say hello?
Yeah.
Well, I'm gonna put it right here so I can see us. All right.
All right.
And record us. Let's see if I got you in there. I think I got you right there. Where are you, Jay? Wave your hand. Wave your hand. Wave your hand.
I am.
I see you now. All right. I'm screen recording.
Okay, looks like I am too.
Do what? Look at that moon.
All right, well, probably before we go having too much conversation on this, we probably need to get started.
Go ahead. Let me pause down.
All right, guys. So we're going to do a little something tonight we haven't done. We've cleaned up this property. I think we've gotten rid of a lot of issues we have on it. So we made a nice spot back here to sit. And we're going to tell some ghost stories tonight.
Yes. This is going to be fun. We have some good ghost stories for October, guys.
Right. And, you know, one of them will probably be complete fiction and two of them are fact.
Right. And let's see if y'all can tell which one is fact from fiction.
So, yeah, we'll play that old thing like Jonathan Frakes had, you know, fact or fiction.
And just taking some pictures around us.
Yeah, we have nearly a full moon tonight.
Mm-hmm.
Nice little campfire going. Nothing too big. It's kind of still warm out. And while we're doing this, we're going to be telling the stories to the ghosts.
Yes. We're going to tell ghost stories to the ghosts, guys. It's a little bit twist. It's a little different twist on it because we're going to be telling ghost stories to the ghosts. And while we're doing that, I'm going to be running Ghost Box, which that way we'll hear like how the ghosts are responding to the ghost stories. Okay? Or if they have any comment on it at all.
And I'm going to have the Seer app going, so that way if something comes up on the screen, you know, maybe they might want to show us a picture or add to the story.
Oh, you already got one.
And we already have something on here. I just turned this on, so let me see what this picture is. This, I really don't know. It looks like the outside of an elevator.
An elevator. Like an escalator.
Or escalator, yeah, maybe. There you go. Steps are coming in now.
Yeah. Escalator. Did you fall off the escalator? Did you fall off an escalator? Huh? Okay, guys. So while we're telling these ghost stories, I want to explain some things to you. All right. We have this setup here. It's going to help me read energy. You see this? It'll help me read energy. We have a REM pod back there that you can touch and it'll give you energy and just make a noise. I promise it won't hurt you. Then we have cat balls sitting around here. See these? You touch them and they blink, but they won't hurt you. And it just lets us know that you're around and you're responding to us. Or you can make this. You could talk to us through this. Yeah, you could talk to us through this. You can make it go up to red. Just touch it. So are you ready to hear some ghost stories? Go ahead and start. You want me to start?
All right. Yeah, I think you can tell your story first, and then I'll tell my story after that.
Okay. My story involves me as a child. And as a child, I grew up in the country, in rural country in Georgia. And we were about an hour and a half south of Atlanta, out in rural farm country in Georgia. I was born in the 76, so this is in my around when I was 10 years old is when this happened. My best friend's name was Mary. She lived down the road from me about a mile to a mile and a half down the road. And back then we had old dirt country roads. We had a lot of woods. And her and I used to walk between each other's houses down those old country roads and those side roads and county roads. Back then, guys, like there was only one house between my house and her house, and it was an older woman that lived by herself. So, there wasn't any danger or anything like that. And we were surrounded by woods, a lot of woods on both sides, all sides. And that part of Georgia has a lot of lakes and rivers and creeks and things like that. So it supports a lot of wildlife, and that's important to the story. I promise. So growing up, I don't think that I even heard the name Bigfoot mentioned, but
No.
no, but a handful of times before my experience, before something happened to me. And yeah, something happened to me. So I always spent the night with my best friend Mary, and she lived down the road from us. She had her bedroom window faced the road in front of their house. And across from their house was like this pasture. And in that pasture sat this big light pole, a pole with a light on it, the street light on it. And it had a light at the top of it, way, way, way at the top of it. And Mary and I used to sit and look out her window and watch cars pass by at night. And it really, there's not a lot to do, when you're young and you're just spending the night with your best friend, you're just staying awake talking and looking out the window, and we were talking about stuff like girls do. And we were watching out the window and talking. That's all we were doing. It was about 2 o'clock in the morning when this happened. And out there by that street light, something appeared. And it was big. And it was across the street from her house, right there. And he was just standing there by the street light. And it looked like to us as kids, like he went halfway up that pole. I don't know that he was that big, but to like a 10-year-old, it looks that big, right? And you could see the light coming down on top of him. And you could see him standing there underneath that light. And he was just looking at us like, it might have been because her bedroom window was open. It was summertime. And we were giggling and laughing and playing music. So it could be that he heard us, even in the middle of the night. And because there wasn't a lot of people around, guys, I'm telling you, that he heard us. And he come to see what that was, who that was. And he was just standing across the street watching us. And Mary and I was just froze, terrified, we had never seen anything like that in our lives. And I haven't seen anything like that again with my 2 eyes. It was one of the most surreal, like scariest things I've ever seen in my life. And Mary started crying and I started crying because we were terrified. We were scared. We didn't know what that was. We had heard about it, and the woods and everything supported that it would be there. It's logical that it would be there, but we didn't expect it. And we just started crying and we were froze. And then all of a sudden the thing just backed off into the shadows and disappeared. And nobody believed us.
Yeah, I bet nobody did. That's the thing, though. A lot of times, as kids, we was always in the woods, especially us Gen X kids. And we saw so much stuff, and people just, they believed us and told us not to tell anyone, or they just flat out didn't believe us.
It's more likely they just didn't believe us.
And that's probably more like it, too. But if when we was out at Camp Bahamia, I told the story of the Wampus cat, and that story was kind of a little messed up because of the sound. Apologize. If you guys want to hear that story again in better sound, drop a comment below, and we'll have another campfire, and I'll tell that one. But I want to share another story tonight. So this one Years ago, we used to investigate with some folks, and the name was Jack and Sally Manning. And, they were a pretty good group, and we would love to go into like these haunted forests, all that stuff. And we got some information on this forest in southern, or I guess I should say southwestern Virginia. And some of you may have heard of it. It's called the Dark Forest. Has anyone heard of the Dark Forest?
You heard of the Dark Forest?
Well, there's supposed to be a lot of cryptid activity in there. Bigfoot, skinwalker, rake, wraith, all of that stuff in there. But the one thing that's in there that everyone seems to think is the center is what's known as the Woman of the Woods. Now, we weren't able to go, and I guess it's probably a good thing we didn't get to go that weekend, because Jack and Sally, they went, and just like we like to do, they were camping. They set up. They had a real nice little teardrop camper, so it wasn't even as lavish as we are with the tent and the truck. So they just pull up, they start camping pretty much. And they went to the campsite.
Oh, what do we got?
Oh, let's see what picture we have coming up here. I have no idea, but boy, that is interesting. I don't think it has anything to do with my story. Maybe it does. We'll see.
It looks like
Something
could be a hole in the ice wall. I don't know. I don't know. We'll show it on TV. We'll show it on the video.
Yeah, you guys will get to see it for sure. So, anyways, kind of just like we're doing right here. They had the campfire set up. Everything was good going. And I like to have fun with Jen sometimes. And I'll tease her and pick on her. And, they're sitting around the fire. And Jack's telling Sally that, oh, you got to be careful, because she come out and she'll sound just like your mama and call you to her. And now Sally, she's already pretty nervous about this. She's a little upset, concerned about the situation. We weren't there, so it was only two people. But they were like, okay, their thing was they wanted to wait till midnight. And they sat around the campfire, and the one thing they noticed, though, that even though the moon was out, as darkness started to fall, the dark in the forest.
There's something walking in the woods.
I hear that.
What is that? Let's give it a second and see. It's probably Karen.
Probably. But the darkness in the forest encroached.
Mm-hmm.
And it almost felt like you could feel it. That's what they were saying, is it felt like you could feel the darkness.
Mm-hmm.
But they waited until midnight. Midnight, they head on out into the forest. And, of course, they have the equipment. They got the EMF meter. Boy, Gracie sure has her attention over there, doesn't she now?
Light. Because I don't know what that flashlight is, but I have this little light, that bright one, in case I need it. Go ahead.
Little things can sound awful big, too.
Yeah.
Do you know what's over there?
What's over here?
But they head off into the woods. A little after midnight. And they're going on these trails. Next thing you know, EMF meters going off, going like crazy. So they noticed if they were heading on eastern direction, Well, this is cool. It's the American flag.
The American flag.
It looks a little tattered. Yeah, well, you know, before it's all said and done, it might be a little tattered. But she'll be flying.
Yep.
She'll be flying high and strong. But, you know, so the EMF meter's going off now.
And this is like an EMF meter, guys. Except you can have the digital ones, you can have these.
But they noticed that as they traveled east, it would, the signal was a little stronger. Man, I can't make this thing sit right. All right. But they head east and the signal was getting a little stronger. And they keep following it. And then the next thing you know, you hear the slapping of leaves and pap. They stepped on something that it looked like it might have been a trap or a noisemaker, or it looked like it was deliberately put there to let someone know.
That's why it's around.
Yeah, if you're on that trail.
Yeah. That's
But then
never
again,
good.
but you know, then Jack, he's always probably just deadfall.
Yeah.
You know, and that's okay. You know, just deadfall. They're going down and they come to a path that has a fork on it. So the reading was stronger if you went to the right fork. So Sally went down the right fork.
Okay.
Jack went down the left.
Why did they do that?
Well, because the path at the far end was supposed to intersect again.
Okay.
So it was just like they were going to be separated for about 300 yards.
I got you. That's fine.
It's no big deal. Well, yeah, so...
Yeah, we agree.
So Sally's over there. And all of a sudden, she hears it sounds like her mom saying, "Sally, come here."
Oh, no, no, no.
And she's getting caught up in this. Yeah, take that. Tell us what our pictures are if they come up.
Okay.
So she hears like...
This is a library with a library desk.
Okay. But she hears this voice that sounds like her mom saying, "Come here." And she's like, no, this can't be right. No, this ain't right. So she keeps going. And then she hears like from across there, you know, Jack go, "Hey, Sally, you all right?" And you know, of course, she always back, "Yeah." But something didn't sound right with his voice. But she knew that they were going to meet up because, as I got to earlier, because this path kind of made like a little diamond shape, and then it met again on the other side of this hiking trail.
That's funny. Is a man looking like he's scared, like he's in some kind of abyss, trolling abyss, like he's running? Go ahead. That's funny.
And she hears again, "Sally, come here. It's your mama."
That's a mimic, guys. That's...
Well, that's what the Woman of the Woods is also known for.
Oh, no.
She's a mimic. She can mimic you. The thought is she's probably a witch, but an old witch from a long time ago. And they're going, and then over to Jack. Jack started to hear voices. He's hearing things. This was almost as soon as he turned off. Jack had no idea that when he heard his dead brother calling to him,
oh, no,
he was going to go and find this. He was determined. But Sally was smarter than Jack. And as she's going through there, all of this stuff's coming down at her. The forest is getting darker. It's encroaching on her. It almost looked like 1,000 cloaked figures just closing in on each other, just getting tighter around you. And she realized that whatever was in this forest is feeding on the fear.
Right, yeah. And that's what happens.
So she went running out to the end of the trail. Came back in to find, and she just saw Jack standing in a catatonic state like that. So she said something to him. He would not move.
Uh-oh.
And then you see the shape of this cloaked figure just come out with this, just, there was no face. It was just an opening.
Oh.
And it's gliding over towards them. And she starts saying, Jack, it's your fear, man. It's your fear.
Right.
And she hits it, and it got so close, she had no choice. So she just ran.
Oh.
And that was when we lost our friend, Jack. And now they say that when you're going through the forest, you actually see him walking around like he's just lost and dazed. But even if you talk to him, he has no clue who he is or how to get out.
So Jack's gone. There's just a shell of Jack there.
That's right.
Mm-hmm.
So we had that story to share.
There is a story about, okay, this one's a little bit creepier, you know, more from like an inside view or something. There was this girl that I knew, her name was Sarah. And she used to hike along the Appalachian Trail a lot. A whole lot. And the reason that I heard about the story is because it was one of those things where she told someone and then they told me. Okay? So this was like the last testament of what we knew of Sarah. Okay? So she hiked the Appalachian Trail a lot. And she had GPS, she had a compass, she was experienced up there, she knew the dangers of animals, and she was always concerned about feral people, because if you hike the Appalachian Trail, you know there's stories of feral people up in the woods in the Appalachian Trail. So, and they've been known to be violent, they've been known to kidnap people, they've been known to harm people, you know, to lure them away and stuff. And I think they do that for their own reasons, different reasons. But I think they have reasons for doing that. And for staying segregated away from society. Yeah, I know, crazy. So anyways, so she was hiking the trail. She was by herself and she had a GPS, but she got turned around. And the one thing that you know about in the mountains, guys, you'll lose signal in those hollers up in the Appalachian Mountains. And in those mountains, there are so many dead zones that you don't have cell signals. Like, you really do not have a signal. And if your GPS or your navigation tool is depending on an internet signal or having a good signal, then you're pretty messed up. You're going to be lost in the middle of the mountains. Well, I don't know what kind of GPS thing that she had or navigation tool that she had, but it got messed up, right? She got lost and it stopped working. So she got turned around and she didn't know where she was. She saw this cave, so she thought that she would take shelter in that. And then she started to go inside the cave, and then she felt like there was people around her, walking around her, following her. And the more that she walked, they would walk and then they would stop. But they were really, really quiet, but she just felt it. She goes into the cave, and then all of a sudden, she's surrounded by feral people. And they end up taking her back with them to their little, wherever they're staying, their little town or their little, if it's a cave system, I don't know where they're staying. Because people don't really know. I think they live in the caves, to be honest with you.
Probably.
I think they're cave dwellers because they don't have homes. I've never seen homes. So I think they live in the caves. But anyways.
Maybe that's our answer.
That's a cemetery. Looks like, no. That looks like an abandoned ghost town. So
maybe they live in those abandoned old towns.
They might live in the old abandoned coal towns. You know it? The old ghost towns that's up there in Appalachians? Mm-hmm. Okay, well then it might be that where they live. My apologies. So anyways, they took her back there. She tried to escape multiple times. But they have been there so long, guys, and they already know how to do this. So do you think that they're really gonna just fix it where someone could escape without there being booby traps, without there being entrapments of some kind or ways to catch you from getting things. And, you know, like it didn't matter which way she went or how she ran or what she did, she was trapped. They trapped her somehow. You know, at one point she fell into this ditch, you know, like they used to trap animals in, it has the spikes at the bottom. She fell into one of those. Thank God it didn't kill her, but she fell into one of those as a trap. They've got her with those little springs that catch your feet. They've got her with those. I mean, there was all kinds of traps that they did, and they caught her and brought her back. And eventually, she just gave up trying to go, and she just resolved herself to staying with the Pharaoh people, because that elder told her, "You're never going to leave. We have you." And I don't know if they were using her for whatever purpose they were using her for, but they had her. And then it was like a decade later that she'd already acclimated and got with them and was living with them. And they were walking through the woods, and she saw this missing person poster on a tree. And she looked at it, and it was really faded and everything, but it was her face, guys. Like she was looking at herself on that missing person poster. And the only thing that she said, and these were the last things that she said to my friend, was she heard the elder's words in her head going, "You'll never leave here again." That's creepy.
Yeah,
man.
the Pharaoh people. That's people question whether they exist or not. I think there are Pharaoh people out there, whether they're Pharaoh like we think Pharaoh. But there's definitely people out there away from society.
Yes.
Well, one other story that I'll share. And this is something, because I'm curious if you guys have ever seen anything like this at all. So there's a place out here called the General Lee Campsite. Love it. It's a great place to camp. And Jennifer and I were there. This was 3 or 4 years ago. And a lot of times people will say that we see, too much stuff. But the thing is when you're out looking for something, odds are you're eventually going to find it.
And if you're in remote places like we are all the time, let me say this again, all the time, we're in places where there's not people and we're looking for something, most likely you're going to find it.
Right, or it's going to find you. But that's one reason why a lot of people that do paranormal research have a lot more encounters than just everyone else, is because we put ourselves in there. We go to where someone says it. So anyways, what do we got coming up?
Well, it's like a bunch of shadow people walking around in a white fog. Yeah.
Is there a bunch of shadow people walking around us here right now?
See this?
I was looking at that.
Shadow people walking around in a fog. Might be. What is that?
Sounds like an air compressor.
Is that your air compressor?
Yeah.
Did it kick on? Would it do that?
Yeah, it's gotten colder out.
Will it kick back off?
It'll cut off in just a second.
We'll keep talking. That's way back in the background.
Okay, all
the
right.
noise, I think we're going to be fine.
I think we will too.
Our mics are right here. Go ahead.
Yes. Anyways, so we're out there, and when we camp, a lot of times we get up kind of early. And we were up right at daybreak. We went out, we sat down, we love, a lot of times we'll go out and we'll bait the line and just throw a pole out, just in case, it's wonderful when you catch a fish first thing in the morning. So we went out there, we baited out, we threw down. I just fixed some coffee. We just sat down and started really waking up. And we looked up in the sky, and Jennifer and I at the same time saw something flying right over. Flapping its wings. And the wingspan that I can't tell exactly how high it was, but I'm going to say it was probably a 20-foot or better wingspan. The neat thing is if you've ever watched the movie Predator, and this is where I'm coming back to saying, if you guys have seen something like this, it looked like the cloaking that the Predator creature had going over us.
But you could see it from underneath. Like you could see the outline of it. You could see how long the wingspan was, how big, how massively big this was. It's like the closest thing you ever come to seeing a pterodactyl in your life.
Well, I would have thought it would be maybe some type of experimental plane if it wouldn't have been for the wing flap.
No, it had a wing flap.
I saw a wing flap twice.
Yes.
And I don't know if that might have been, you know, the Firebird.
The Thunderbird is what another word for it. The Thunderbird is
Phoenix. You know, Snelly, guys. I don't know what it was. All I know is we saw
with,
that.
Green hills and a waterfall.
But yeah, we saw that, and at first, you know, this was before we were doing a whole lot of paranormal stuff, and
I didn't say anything at first.
I didn't either,
because I was sitting there like, and we were like this far apart from each other, and I was sitting there like, did I really? And then I thought, no, I had to see that. And then I looked at him at the same time he looked at me, and I said, did you? And he was like, oh, I wasn't going to say it.
Right, and
but
because
we both saw it, yeah, because we both saw it.
Right, you know, my old MO, I'll tell you, you know, real quick, like when we got married, our honeymoon, we went camping, and anytime there was a noise in the woods, I would acknowledge it by saying I did not hear a noise in the woods. So, you know, but eventually we came and we both started talking about that. I wish we would have had a camera. I wish it would have been something we could share. And it's not. But we went camping before, and you want to start the story out at the Sipsey?
Oh, okay. So, I told you about the Bigfoot thing, but I'm a fan of mountain monsters, and I was obsessed with the show at the time. Okay. Seen some of them? Okay. Well, so we were out camping at the Sipsey, which is a wilderness area, and up there near Jasper. And it's a cold creek, like that has it's the only trout stream in Alabama that still runs like that. It's very cold.
Right. It's an earthen dam, 300. The dam breast is 300 feet, and it pulls from the bottom. So the water that comes out of that bottom of that is always around 40 degrees. So it's very cold. Mm-hmm. And if you've not seen the video, we went fishing up there, and we kind of shared that video with you guys. But when we would go camping at that time, like our friends, we had a pool behind pop-up camper, a nice little Jayco camper. We had it all done inside. Gracie loved it.
So we had it set up, and we had like a little fire burn thing right there. And then the creek, if you can imagine, the creek's like right there, you know. And it's through a little thing of woods. And then on the other side of the creek, there's a big old mountain and a hill and some more woods, okay? So we're camping. And I get in this mentality, so I want to joke around, and I was like, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to take up the stick, and I'm going to do a tree knock on the tree. I'm going to knock on the tree 3 times. And a tree knock is supposed to be a language that Bigfoot used. They take a stick and knock on a tree. It's called a tree knock. And it's a language or a way of saying that you're there or whatever. So I picked up the stick not thinking it was going to work, guys. I was not thinking this was going to work. And I hit the tree 3 times. I waited and got quiet. Then all of a sudden, I heard something. The first thing I heard was, it sounded like a tree was breaking, like being ripped up out of the ground or being broke, you know, just by somebody's hands across that little stream on the other side, on that little mountainside. And we couldn't see it, but we could hear it echo through there. Remember, we're the only ones out there. Then I heard this big, huge, you ever hear something like a big rock or a boulder being thrown into the water? What that sounds like? That whoosh, right? Like it really splashed and hit the water. And at that moment, when I heard that, I looked at him and I was like, I think it's time we go in. And yeah, because I obviously had attracted the attention of one. So we turned around and we got up, because I realized then that something that I really did call something in on us, you know, and I was hoping it would just go away. That just looks like a tree and some fog.
So fog again.
Yeah, and trees.
Interesting.
Right? And that's all I see. So we go in there, we go to bed, and I'm hoping that it just goes away, guys. I really am at this point because I got scared. And I went to bed and everything got quiet. So we went to sleep. Then it was about what, 2 in the morning?
It was right before daybreak.
Go ahead then.
It was right before daybreak that we heard. Well, I'll imitate the sound the best I can, but we heard this sound and it woke us straight. We heard whoop, and we sat up straight.
It was loud.
In that bed, yes. It brought us up. Gracie was shaking. She woke
the
up.
thing had to be standing at, like, it's right outside of our camper.
Right. Well, the neat thing is, we stayed inside till morning.
That was like a man and a boy, and they were inside of a building.
But we did not. Caitlin.
You're crazy. Come here. Go ahead.
But we
heard it do that, and then it took like something metal on, like the siding that goes around the campers, guys. It took its hand and tried to rip the metal off the camper, and that's when we were terrified. We were shaking.
Well, it didn't try. I mean,
it did, because it did rip it off.
Yeah, the back of the camper, like where the license plate and the spare tire goes, it was totally separated. If it wanted to rip it off, it could. But the neat thing is, so we waited till morning. We did not get out of that camper. We didn't have any protection at that time. We did not take protection with us. Didn't even have protection.
That's a Black Power rifle.
I'm talking about protection.
Yes.
So, anyway, we didn't have anything. When it came to sunup, we went out and we started walking around looking for signs.
Oh, yeah. This is...
There was a sweet gum tree that was about 20 feet from our camper. And it was a massive sweet gum tree. And I wish I would have had casting material.
Mm-hmm.
Because right by that tree, there was a set of knuckles in the ground where something was leaning on the ground.
Mm-hmm.
You could see the knuckles. And I'm telling you, it was 8 inches across, these knuckles. 4 knuckles, 8 inches across.
And watching us. Just watching us.
And then behind that, you could see where there was 2 big toe impressions in the ball of a foot. So whatever it was behind the tree, and it was down like this, watching us with its heels raised. So it was ready for somebody to come outside. That's the most intimidated I have been.
Have you ever heard something that really heard a noise that really gets down and shakes your ribs and then gets down into your soul, and you know that you cannot defeat that thing? Whatever it is that you just heard is bigger than what you're capable of handling. I mean, seriously, it really puts the prey fear in you. That looks like, I have no idea. It looks like body parts and stuff. I don't know what that is. It looks like an arm and an elbow and a knee and tendons. I don't know what that is.
But now this is, but where this happened, it's a special place up at Sipsey. It's private property. But I'm sure that if you guys wanted us to do an investigation, a camping investigation video up there, I mean,
we would do that.
Yeah, we could do that pretty easy. And we would wait till around Easter, because that's when this happened. It was Easter about, 5-6 years ago.
It was a minute, yeah.
But yeah, we could do that again. But that was the most scared I think I have ever been, was having something that close, knowing there's nothing I can do. I mean, our plan...
It's really scary when you hear it.
It is.
It really, really is.
It was a sound. It shook my insides. I've never woke up that afraid before.
Well, here in the next couple of months, we're going to be doing some videos where you're going to see me use Bigfoot calls, because it's the migration pattern. They're coming through Alabama right now. So what I'm going to do is, we're going to be in 2 different sets of woods, and I'm going to use a couple of different Bigfoot calls and do some tree knots and see if we can't get any response in the woods around the areas where we're going to be filming.
And we're going to continue our investigations in the Talladega National Forest, and we'll probably add to it.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's where we're going.
County, in those forests, in those woods in Bullitt County. So we're going to be doing Bullitt County and Calhoun County.
But, you know, if you have a credible sighting, and when I say a credible sighting, I mean, I'm talking like you had at least a minute interaction visually or something, and you'd like us to come out and investigate that, go to our website, paracritpc.com, and go on the info and send us an email through there, and we'll get back in touch with you and see if it's something that we can work out. We'll come and do that. And like I said, we never ask anyone for anything. You know, we're pretty much self-funded or we work off of donations. But we'd be happy to come up and take a look at that for you, put your family at ease.
Right.
Or if nothing else, maybe we can run it off. Kind of, you know, it's kind of like, do you ever watch the old Mountain Men show? That one guy on there that would take the cougars and he would make them run off.
I've seen an old man and old woman baking.
Well, that could be us next week.
No, like those people in their 80s.
That's pretty cool.
Mm-hmm. It's not relevant to anything.
No,
so I don't know.
Well, I was hoping we'd have a little bit more relevancy, and we might when we start going through this.
Because we don't know what the ghosts are saying either, because we're not half paying attention.
But guys, I hope you like these stories. If you want us to kind of come up with some more stories and do a few more of these, you know, comment below, let us know. Please, as always, like, subscribe, hit the notification bell. It doesn't cost you anything, and it really helps us a lot.
Helps algorithms.
Right, it helps that algorithm. It lets us get up there and get a few more followers.
Yeah.
And like I said, our dream would be to be able to do this as what we do and bring this content to you every day, something.
Oh, I love sitting up here in the woods around the campfire just talking. And it's a different spin when you're just sitting around talking to ghosts and just telling ghost stories. And the ghost never gets ghost stories told to them, guys. Think about it. How are you entertaining them? You're not entertaining them. So, you know, I guess in a way we just give them something to listen to and to think about.
Or I guess maybe we just tell them people stories. I don't know.
I don't know. I guess you tell them the ghost people stories, right? So we tell people ghost stories.
All right, guys. Well, it's getting late, so we probably need to head in.
Okay.
Gracie, tell everybody good night. Good night, everybody.
Okay. And this has a cat. Look, a black cat with green eyes.
Oh, my hope.
And she's running up through here. Did you see that cat? Did you see the cat? All right, guys. Good night. I'm going to take them in.